right, thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming back to another edition of the Business Hour. I am your host, Brother Anthony, right here, WSYPLP 95.1, Sankofa, Revolutionary Radio. And as promised, I got the warrior back on, the warrior lawyer, and this sister, powerful sister, and she does so much, man, so many things, and the resume, the bio is too long to really read. It'll take 30 minutes to tell you all about the sister, but I'll do the short version this morning. Let's kill the music and let's get right into it, because she's busy and don't have time to fool around. Now, you know, y'all heard her before. Attorney, scholar, and warrior, my sister, Èzili Danto. She's a human rights, as you been informed, human rights and international law attorney and award-winning playwright, performance poet, and culture activist, born over at Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and raised in the U.S. It's a Haiti scholar and runs the Èzili Network and the Free Haiti movement. And so I want to I'll give you the short version. Welcome back, Sister Èzili. How are you this morning?
Honor and respect. Thank you. I'm fine.
Yeah, much love, revolutionary love to you. I want you to, before we get into what the current occupation over in Haiti, kind of lay the foundation for our listeners and give us a little history of Haiti and what's been going on from the Haitian Revolution on up and down.
Well, 217 years ago, on October 17th, 1806, was the first coup d'etat to bring in neocolonialism in Haiti. Haiti is the nation, the black nation, that after 300 years of suffering, gathered together all of the nations of Africa who had been enslaved by the Europeans and rose up, did a revolution that lasted 13 years, and beat the armies of the greatest European powers of that time. They beat the French, the Spanish, and the English in combat to abolish slavery and avenge the systematic sexual rape of Africans by white men since Columbus, and created the nation of Haiti. And that nation had a philosophy that is ingrained in Janjak Desalin, our founding father, his Constitution of 1804. He said that his army was at one point called the armies of the indigenous army. And when he won against the French greatest general, Napoleon, he said, "I have avenged America." So that's who we are. That's how it begins. But the Europeans came back on our east side. They retook the part of the island. The Spanish came back. That is now called Dominican Republic. It's like the Confederacy winning. And today, we at the Free Haiti movement, we honor Janjak Desalin and his vision, which was for Haiti to be a black-ruled independent nation. We understand that we are one people, and his vision for us, for the world, because he created something called the Empire of Liberty that had no boundaries and welcomed many Africans who had been enslaved, and said, all you have to do is set your foot on this nation and you will be free. He offered every captain transporting Africans from Africa into the United States, the Caribbean, South America, Brazil. He offered them all $40 a head for each African. He would buy them and set them free. But the mulatto sons of France conspired to kill them on this day, 217 years ago, because they hated that an African, a black man, was ruling over them. And so that's where we are. This is going on 33 or so coup d'etats, but the first one started 217 years ago. Today, the same people that we beat in combat, the French, the Spanish, the English, the United States, who had an embargo against Haiti at that time, and with the pedophile Jefferson, who was daily raping a 14-year-old Sally Hemings, but writing the U.S. Constitution or the U.S. Declaration of Independence, we have always had an adversarial relationship with the United States. It didn't start out that way because the president before Jefferson was Adams, and Adams was actually the first and only U.S. president to back up the Haitian Revolution during the time that we were fighting the French. They sent boats and ships to prevent the French during the war. But Jefferson had a wonderful relationship with these wretched churches. As you all know, West Africa is right now trying to throw them off their backs in Mali and Burkina Faso and Niger. But they continue to leash off of our people, blood-sucking everything that we have. The situation is so harsh in Haiti. 98% of the wealth is controlled by these immigrants that the United States, these buffer races, these Arabs, that they believe, conquered North Africa and Egypt from the black rulers. So they brought them to Haiti. They're installed all over the Caribbean, the Syrian Lebanese. The Dominican Republic president, Louis Abinader, is part of that Syrian Lebanese crew. And the U.S.'s vision in their dreams is to put the same situation that they've put in Jamaica, in the Bahamas, in the Dominicans, where you have these white buffer races become the presidents and the overseers. And Haiti is the only one fighting back. Out of the 15 Caribbean nations, we have the most population, 60% of CARICOM, the Caribbean nation. There's island nations. We have the largest population, and we still own land. So the U.S. aim and these Neanderthals' aim is to make us like Jamaica, Bahamas, Dominican Republic, where the white immigrants come in and they control all the land, the same way they did to African Americans when they gave them land and essentially after enslavement try to take all the lands of that the African Americans had. That's what they're doing in Haiti, but we are the only nation in the Caribbean that keeps fighting back. The Syrian Lebanese, they control 98%, the whites, 98% of Haiti's local economy. It's not foreign aid that maintains the rest of Haiti. It's the diaspora remittances. There's the Haitian diaspora. The life in Haiti with these overseers, these white overseers, is so harsh, so terrible. They monopolize all of the economy, so that the Haitian diaspora sends something like $3.1 billion per year to their families to keep them alive, but they're actually spending that money with the oligarchs, the white Syrian oligarchs who control the ports, the airport, every level of item that you might think that creates a nation. They have control of it. The airports, the seaports, the everything. So that's why we're fighting. We're fighting because when Janjak Desalin was killed, the reason he was killed was that at a certain point during the revolution, at the very, very end, Rochambeau, this French general, was actually killing the mulattoes because he hated them. Because back in Europe, the mulattoes were a lot. Some of them were very prized by the white women, and they hated that. At that time, one of the greatest musician, composer, Joseph Born, taught Mozart, and he was at that time he beat them at their own game. The way you see now in sports, he was the greatest fencer in Europe, a black man, a mulatto man who had some chances to come out of Guadeloupe and be educated in France and then, move up the ranks. And some say he was even sleeping with the king's wife, Marie Antoinette. So these petty aristocrats who had land in Haiti and who, their claim to fame was they were aristocrats, when these Africans were showing them up on every field at that level, when they were in Haiti, Rochambeau was killing the mulattoes. So they got together with the Africans for a minute to beat the Napoleon. But then soon the priests and such who started in their ear again, and of course they always had that colorism. So they killed Desalin, and eventually brought back the educational system of the Pope. And so now Haitian elites became part of the, you could call them the talented tenth, thinking they were better than the masses, and maintaining Eurocentricity. But Africans have always lived apart from all that mess in the rural areas. They created their own system, and they try to stay away from this government system. And what I'd like to you guys to understand is that at the Free Haiti movement that I created back in 2004, during the bicentennial of Haiti's independence when the Europeans came back, we adopt the 1805 Constitution of Janjak Desalin, our founding father. Remember, one of the major generals was Toussaint Louverture, but Napoleon had kidnapped him out of Haiti, and he was dead by the time we became independent, tortured his wife in all kinds of ways. I say her name, Marie-Suzanne Louverture. And so today, last week, the U.S. just keeps coming back because Haitians, we fight back. We from one generation to the next. But they control the media. They show us as savages. But demonize us in order to figure out a way to stay in Haiti because of the resources we have in Haiti. So I just told you that the $3.2 billion from the diaspora keeps our people in the rural area. The United States has all these sorts of covers, right? In 2004, they got rid of the first democratically elected president, Jean-Bertrand Aristide. He was my client. That's how I came into the picture. That's where and how I entered. And they got rid of him. They actually did what they did to Toussaint Louverture, kidnapped him from his house, president, and deported him to a French colony over Central Africans, the Central Africa. And since that time, for the last 30 years, we've been fighting back. But they have the media. They don't have Brother Muhammad's narrative. They have the colonial narrative. The U.S. keeps putting in puppet like they do in all of the nations of the Caribbean and all of the nations in Africa. These puppets they've adopted. They killed Toussaint Louverture for it. He wanted to do a black-ruled French colony. But that's the standard now in the Caribbean nations. All these black prime ministers are ruling on behalf of the Queen or the Dutch or the United States. Haiti is the one still fighting back. You still see people in the streets whenever they put it in the dictator. Right now we have a dictator. His name is Èzili. He's the one that asked for Kenya to come because the United States wants a racial front to its plunder. And what it really cannot stop doing is depopulating Haiti. So I'll stop there, and you can let me know where you would like me to go.
All right, you laid the proper foundation. I appreciate that. And for those who are just tuning in, I got my sister, a warrior lawyer and attorney, and she do many other things. Èzili, Sister Èzili Danto, the Honorable Èzili Danto is with us this morning, kind of breaking things down of what's going on the ground because you've been hearing the propaganda bombs dropping everywhere. Sister, I got my Sister Porter who has called in. Sister Porter, you on with the Honorable Attorney Èzili Danto. All right, go ahead, Sister Porter. All right. You there? Going once, going twice. Are you there, Miss Porter? All right. She'll come back on. She's still there. Now, Sister Attorney, because this violence, this propaganda is deep, man, because at one point violence in Haiti was once 3%. And they've manufactured this, the gangs and the violence that's going on in Haiti. Talk about that briefly.
Sure. So the way colonialism is, the way the white dominance works, is that they will set your house on fire. And then they'll tell everybody, oh, look, your house is on fire. And then they come in as the arsonist. So they play both roles, hero, villain, arsonist, and fireman. So essentially, they came in 2004. They got rid of the democratically elected president that I represented when he first started out back in 1994. They did a coup d'etat then. Bush the father and then Bush the son in 2004. And then once they they cut the head, the leader, the arm is left flaying, and then they buy off whatever they can, as long as they can find collaborators ready to sell out their own people, these social parasites. And, we have them that they pay to do whatever they want. So this guy, Èzili, in 2004, after the United States deported the democratically elected president and got rid of 8,000 of the municipal folks and those that had been elected, they brought in these social parasitic Haitians who they had trained and educated in their schools. And this guy, Èzili, they put him as Conseil du Sage, a council of the wise. So they got together with these Negroes, these house Negroes, made them something called, because they had, destroyed parliament, destroyed every elected official from everywhere. And then they bring in these career UN bureaucrats with Haitian ancestry, career Haitian professionals at the DOJ, like Carl Alexander. They bring these guys in that have some elements of Haitian descendants, and then they put them in. And one of them, like I said, is Èzili, who is the current illegal de facto suspected of murdering his predecessor person. So they always need corrupt Africans, right? Think about the folks that they make informants in America, right? It's because they have something on them. Well, it's the same thing. It's the same at the micro level. It's the same thing, at the macro level. So Èzili, who is suspected of murdering his predecessor, the president, was put in by a tweet by the United States, and now he's been in office for 2 years. The people were shocked when on July 7th, 2021, the man that they were demonstrating against, manifesting against, saying he should not have another year. He was not even duly elected. He's your puppet. The United States simply killed him. They killed him. The agents of the U.S. killed him. And it was a lesson that they were trying to show that, when we put you in office, you're there to do what we want you to do. But there came a point in time when even the puppets want to do something for their country and not everything for the U.S. and the core group of nations that are running Haiti. The 6 core group of nations that are running Haiti, like I said, the United States, France, Canada, Spain, Germany, and Brazil. Yes, Brazil. The economic power of South America. They had to bring him in and make them complicit and destroying Haiti. In exchange, they give him a permanent seat at the UN Security Council. And right now, that Security Council just voted in to have a racial front come into Haiti because, we are not. So what happened in the last 2 years was that agents of the United States from the DEA, the FBI, the CIA, the State Department, I mean, it's all on my website, but you can definitely see it. New York Times have been covering it. The guy that is pled guilty for being the first one, Rudolph Jar, he was a DEA informant. The Colombian unit that flew into the Dominican Republic, our naked enemy, and then came into Haiti in the middle of the night and went up the hill at 1 o'clock, supposedly, to murder they were trained by U.S. Special Forces in Colombia, a client state of the United States. 18 of them were put in jail, and along with the security people of Jovenel Moïse, the puppet president of Haiti, at that point in time. So once they did that shock and awe, the people were just like in shock. Wow, they killed their own person, and it was brutal, right? It was a brutal killing. But Jovenel Moïse had gangs and paramilitary groups, the Tonton Macoute type people, that would go out into the street to disperse the demonstrations against him. But once he died, those paramilitary gangs essentially took over by themselves. Even though a lot of them are working for Ariel Henry, the prime minister, but they're also working for the Haitian oligarchs. And they took that opportunity and that chaos to try to displace particular Haitians from particular areas, especially the shorelines. And that's what's happening in Haiti. You won't really hear that. So they want to displace them from the shorelines, especially around the Bay of Port-au-Prince, because Haiti has the largest reserve of oil in the world. Just Google it, right? They won't tell you that. But the United States knew about our oil reserves a long, long time ago. I've talked about it for 30 years. And they built the largest embassy in the Western Hemisphere in tiny Haiti because right now, because of what's happening in the Middle East and so on, they need to tap into this reserve that through the Monroe Document and Manifest Destiny, and now in 2004 it was responsibility to protect, and now it's like the Global Fragility Act. These self-serving legislations that they put together to say, oh, well, this country has failed. I got to go in and save people. Yes, like they're saving Black Americans in America. So that's really the situation. These, what they're calling gangs, are terrorists, young, starving Haitian men that they go into the community and dump guns into, like you see them carrying like a $4,000 gun and they can't even eat. It's being given to them by the oligarchs going through the Dominican Republic or through the oligarchs' ports of Gilbert Bigio, so that they can kill the people and move the people away from the area that the U.S. mining companies want. And so that's what's going on. So once they set your house on fire, then they go back to the UN Security Council and approve a Chapter 7 shoot-to-kill mission, bringing in a racial front because they don't want to seem like it's a white thing, right? So they brought this William Ruto, who is known as a puppet of the United States in Kenya, supposedly, they say, paying him $100 million to come into Haiti and continue the work of Minister and the UN had done from 2004 to 2017. They killed 10,000 people. Some people, well, they say 10,000, we say 30,000 with cholera that they brought in. And then about 14 to 20,000, they just murdered them when Brazil was in Haiti. So the whole point is to destroy Haiti.
Kenya helping to pacify Haiti.
Take the land because it's very valuable. We have a geopolitical situation where we are between Cuba and Venezuela, and this is where the Eurasian play their geopolitics game between Putin and America. And we're kind of the naval base where the United States watches over Cuba and Venezuela. And the Russians could have, because of their war in Ukraine and their bitterness right now, supposedly, with the United States, they could have vetoed this new occupation, but they did not. They abstained. And we say that's a lesson for the Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, who now are trying to get the leeches, the French wretched leeches, parasites who've taken, who still colonize them, off their backs with a coup d'etat, but we want them to be careful because look what just happened to Haiti.
Exactly. Let's go to the phones and I'll give you a short break there because you've been laying it down this morning. Let's go to Professor Porter, who knows about international law. I'm going to go to her and I'll go to Baba Sabaka after that. Professor Porter, you on with the attorney.
Greetings. It's always an honor to hear from you and giving us the update on what's going on in Haiti. My question to you, because we're suffering the same thing over here. We're fighting for our human rights here, our right to be self-determined. And it's the same fight that the Haitians have had, from the beginning of time. My question to you is how can we partner with the Haitians, rebuild our relationship, because our relationship is not very good because we don't understand the political situation that we're up against, and it's the same. How can we help each other fight for our liberation, fight for our right to self-determination, fight to be a free people? How can we partner together to get this thing done?
All right, Professor, 1 second. We lost her, man. So one second. Let's get her back on. We lost the attorney, and we're trying to get her back on right now. Attorney, you there? All right, 1 second. Professor Porter had a question for you. Don't know if you heard that, Attorney Èzili.
Just as she started to ask the question, she said that we have the same fight from the beginning of time. That's when I got cut off.
Yeah, she dropped, Professor. Shortly, briefly, repeat that question for the attorney.
My question for Attorney Danto is how can we partner with the Haitians to fight for our liberation, to fight for our right to self-determination? How can we partner together? We need a base, and I see Haiti as the base. How can we put up a fight legally and politically here in the U.S. to back them up off of Haiti?
Okay, so I am here. I've been here for 30 years. I don't know where those who are in solidarity with us are, so certainly you can connect with me. For instance, the United States gun violence, let's look at that. So we don't manufacture the guns. The guns that's killing our people in Baltimore right now, we don't manufacture them. Here's just one scenario, and I think the brother said you were also an attorney. If I had 200, 600 law firms, I actually went to Venezuela once before Maduro became president, trying to ask them to provide us with what we need is to counter their narrative.
Congresswoman, Haiti is such a vital country. Congresswoman, Haiti is such a vital country.
To scale up our voice. And we need to do it in a very systematic, professional way. For me, we need to find a very large publicity. We have to do a publicity campaign, a PR firm that will always hit them when they bring in the colonial narrative about our people.
You know, Haiti is such a vital country.
And then we have to hit them legally too. We have to do, and then we have to train our children to be warriors. So let's look at those three things. For me, right now, for instance, Mexico is suing the United States for destabilizing their country by giving guns to the cartels. So that's what they do every day, every way. But these gun manufacturers this is what they do all over the world, right? With arming terrorists, whether it's ISIS, Al-Qaeda, but there's no one having new thoughts. Our only thoughts is, let's go to the UN, the very organization that is there only to maintain Western Europe's colonization. So for me, we have to have new ways of fighting colonialism. And the three ways for me is that we could join, for instance, the Mexico lawsuit, because I think 12 states have joined that Mexican lawsuit to say that these guns that are in Baltimore, these guns that are in all our cities, we don't manufacture them. Someone's doing that. This whole culture of criminalizing the young black male and then making him a criminal, we have to get rid of it. And part of that, like I said, is like an international problem. If you look in America and you look at they want to come to IAT supposedly to get rid of gangs. Well, how about the ones in the United States? Look at the U.S. Virgin Islands. They have more violence than 5 times more violence. That's the U.S. Virgin Islands. Why? Because the situation, when you impoverish black people and you give them no outlet to betterment, and then you drop guns in their community, they're going to rape, they're going to kill, that's what's going to happen, and they know that. So us as the adult community have to start looking at, because if we did that, for instance, in America right now, in 2023, what they brought to IT and everywhere in the world, these guns, right? Because you guys know that's how the white man ruled. That's how he conquers, is with these guns, right? But 25,000 Americans in 2023 have died from gun violence. 25,000. It's an epidemic. Why is Kenya not coming to the United States to help them out? But they have made it as if it's a black problem. It's just a black problem. There's no imperialism. There's no inequity. There's no exploitation. It's just, So 25, just look it up, people. 25,000 Americans have died from gun violence, and 2023 is not even over. They've had 300 mass shootings, and these are mostly white males killing people. Going to a grocery and killing a whole bunch of black people because the society, something is wrong with it. We have always been the conscious of these nations where these Neanderthals are. It's time for us to step up. And like I said, as a lawyer, that's what I see. In IT, for instance, if I had a law firm, the billionaire of the Caribbean, his name is Gilbert Biggio. He was sanctioned by Canada for arming these gangs that Kenya is supposedly coming here. Instead of, there's a resolution at the UN too, Resolution 2653. Those who want to be in solidarity with us, I ask them to write to the UN and tell them, listen, if the United States control its borders, control its customs, and then let the Haitian oligarchs bring in these guns within 2 weeks, if these young men did not have, bullets to put in their guns, the Haitian people will take care of them. I mean, they're taking care of them right now.
All right.
But they would be able to finish.
All right. Attorney, we got a few callers that's waiting. So I'm gonna go back and Dr. Bowles, we got you on finally. So let's go to Attorney. Let's go back to Georgia and see if Professor Porter have a follow up, and then we'll go to Sababa, Shabaka, Dr. Bowles, and then we'll go to Black Magus. Ms. Porter, anything you want to follow up with?
Yes, I would love to connect with Sister Danto to strategize on some things that we could do legally and politically. I think that we need to be partnering with the Haitians. Haiti is part of our homeland, and I think it's going to take us in numbers to move these people to do right by us. As long as we sit back and we're isolated in our own little glass house like it's all about us Black Americans, we're going to continue to see the suffering in Haiti and as well as in Baltimore, Atlanta, and all the rest of these cities, and I yield the floor.
All right, thank you for that. Hey, Bob Shabaka, is it okay with you if I take Dr. Bowles, ladies first? Is that okay with you?
No, I don't want that. Yeah, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Thank you, Elder. Let's talk to Dr. Bowles. Dr. Bowles, come on with the attorney.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be able to have a chance to speak with you, the honorable lawyer from AIT. I have to say the name correctly. I was in AIT right after the cholera outbreak with a group to help give IV service to people to try to save some lives there. And I am very, very, very impressed with the history and background you gave, so thank you for that. I'm hot off the plane from Jamaica, was there for business and pleasure. And it is true that right now, Jamaica is also trying to get some sovereign identity going. So my question and comment to you, again, as the person before me, is there a way to contact and interact with you on a meaningful scale? I certainly agree that publicity and changing the narrative is imperative, but I think more on the ground is necessary as well. So that's my question. Is there some way, something concrete other than just talk can be leveraged in your favor?
All right. Well, like I said, there is a UN resolution. Please take it down. It's 2653. We pushed it back in 2022, essentially saying to the United States that they're not complying with UN this resolution, which forbids the U.S. from allowing this arms trafficking to continue in Haiti. That's just one concrete thing that can be done. With regards to people on the ground, there's a misunderstanding in America or throughout the Pan-Africanist world about what revolution is. And for me, the people that you need to go to, Americans never go to, right? They'll go to Port-au-Prince, where the core group is, but the heart of our nation is in the rural areas. And they practice 4 things that you guys should know about and support. It's called La Cour, Combite, Vive, and Jardin. If you want to be in solidarity with the heart of Haiti, you will go to the rural areas and help the people because they work in Combite. Combite is when you come together with your neighbor and there is a goal. Like right now, if you want to know what it looks like, go to the border. Just go to the border of Haiti where there's a Combite. It's a group of Haitians that are literally physically building a canal so that they can irrigate the lands. A lot of Haitians left Port-au-Prince. We told them 3 years ago with the death of Moïse, to go to their family homesteads, to start creating their own foods. I say this to African Americans too. Find a piece of land, start being self-reliant. That is the beginning of independence. Mm-hmm. And this is the only way I'm here, is because my grandmother did not depend on the state for anything. They knew the state only came to the rural areas to steal their money, to tax them, and that was it, but did not provide them services. The state doesn't provide our nations in Michigan clean water, or in Alabama they got hookworms, but yet intellectuals are making as if they don't see it. Yeah. We need to go to these communities, create a working environment, and clean our own cities, and that's what IC is doing in the rural areas. So those who want to work with us on the ground, that's what I urge you to learn of these African ways of working and growing, where they work in Combit. They have these communal lands. Families live on these lands. And what we need is to scale up with modern technology, the farming, the irrigation, and that whole community where, you know, when they're farming, you have the artists singing to help them farm, and that's how we work. And that is an African way of being. It's still alive in IAC.
All right, let's go back to the phone. Dr. Bowles, wrap it up. Anything else you got? Want to follow up?
No, I agree completely. And I was in Carrefour. It's where we went. We did not stop in Port-au-Prince, and we did realize we needed the rural area. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you for calling in. Let's go to my brother who's patiently waiting. Thank you, Baba Shabaka. Come on, my man.
Yeah, thank you so much, Attorney Danto. I really appreciate, and I'm here. In fact, I'm a replant from Baltimore, and I understand what you're talking about with respect to the gun violence, to being armed by the police, and relocated here in Miami area, in which I'm, working with a Haitian now. Although we're getting up in age, we need to get some young people more involved. But I wanted to ask you, but I want to sort of like put a damper on the question I wanted to ask. And I'm working with Encobra that brought you in to talk about the Haitian experience at the last webinar. They're organizing a second webinar, and I'd like to see you invited to participate, particularly in talking about the strategies about which you felt was necessary, just as Attorney Porter had talked about, how we work. I'm here in Miami. I'm working with a Haitian, in fact, a couple of them, and I like to see how we can develop that which is necessary in order to address, particularly the arming, to create the destabilization that we see in our community. So I'm very important to that, but I would like to have you come and see if you'd be available to come in December to a second follow-up webinar offered by Encobra. If you're willing to do that, I'll make sure that we're in contact, because we need to really talk about this subject. My question, though, was I wasn't clear on the assassination of the role of the assassination, of the role of the U.S. and why it was involved in the assassination of President Moïse. Could you go through that a little bit? Because to me that was paramount, because I did see him as probably Uncle Tom or whatever, and I didn't quite understand. What was he beginning to do which cautioned the U.S. that they needed to get rid of their boy? Thank you.
Okay, very good. Yes. Number one, I'd like to thank all of you. Honestly, we need you. Attorney Porter, Dr. Bull, and you. So take my email. It's erzilidanto@yahoo.com. And if you didn't get that, like I said, I am on social media. We have the Free IT Movement on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I do threads on Twitter because I used to write a lot and realized people were not reading. So now I'm trying hard to do small little things like TikTok and Twitter. And so you can find all this information on Twitter threads and read as you want, right? It's Èzili Danto on Twitter. And if you write me there too, I will try to get back to you. And those of you who know Attorney Muhammad, he can give you my number. So there's no reason not be able to contact me. All right. So this is what happened. And I'm glad you asked for the clarification because there's so much to say. I don't know what I've said sometimes. All right. So on July 7th, 2021, the illegal fake president that the United States put in power after Michel Martelly was murdered, assassinated. He was murdered and assassinated by Colombian mercenaries who had came into Haiti, and also a lot of his security and his bodyguards were complicit. Now remember, the United States trains all our security in every nation. We don't have police, black people, okay? So take that note. So they train all of these people. So they train the folks that was his guards, which means that they control them, they control their pension, they control their visas, because the way they control them is that they'll let their family come to the United States and give them a visa. And if they don't do what the United States wants, then they'll just, deport their family or stop some grant they've given to one of their children to go to some Columbia schools while they groom them. That's what they do. Okay, and it's done everywhere. It's the same pattern. If we're stupid enough not to understand it's the same pattern, then honestly, I'm exhausted with black intellectuals. All right, so this is what they did, Doctor. So what they did was, even Jovenel Moïse, at a certain point, he knows that he is a child of the present. He wanted to bring some sort of electricity, because the oligarchs control the electricity. And so what he did was he went to Turkey because he realized that the Western nations were never going to allow us to build infrastructure in Haiti. They wanted to maintain us and contain us in poverty. So he went to Turkey. Turkey it was the road to Russia. So at that space and time, he made a bilateral agreement with Turkey to come in and do some infrastructure work. Now remember, Turkey is right below Ukraine, which allows Russia through those Crimean Sea, okay, met with the Russians while there, came back and accepted for the first time a Russian ambassador's letters to come to Haiti, right? So there was going to be an end to add insult to U.S. Arrogance and manifest destiny injury. The Russian ambassador whose letters that Jovenel Moïse 1 month before he was murdered accepted was the same Russian ambassador that was in Venezuela. The United States at that time was trying to tell everybody that he wasn't duly elected, but they were trying to make Guaido be the president of Venezuela, right, under Trump. So that's what happened. They killed him because he stood off a script and went to try to get an ally with nuclear power because that's what Haiti needs. And the United States killed him for that. That's where we are. That's what happened.
Thank you, Attorney, for breaking that down. All right, Bob Shabaka, follow up, wrap it up.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Don't really have a follow-up. I just wanted that clarification, but I will be in contact with you. Yeah, come on. I will be in contact with you and talk to the people in Miami. Right. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate your presentation.
Thank you, Bob. Let's go up to Colorado and talk to my brother, Black Magus. Black Magus, you're on with the attorney.
I'll be before we Black Liberation family.
Black Liberation.
It is always an honor to be able to speak to this sister. The first time I actually spoke to you was a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago, on Sister Keisha's program, when it was first found out that she was the person jumping in your chat room and she didn't understand how to speak the Creole language, Haitian Creole language. I just have two quick questions, and I'll just ask this and, just fall off to the back. Just wondering, Sister Èzili Danto, if you can answer the statement on 2 days ago about Haiti closing their border, this commercial trade border with the Dominican Republic, and if you can speak on the epidemic of Haitians that are coming over to Florida and joining in gangs just because, they migrate here. They're living in a substandard living way. And they need to try to make money for themselves, so they join I guess, gangs that are down there. And then they are becoming a big target for the policing that's going on down there. Just wanted to know if you can speak on those two.
Okay. Thank you so much. And all of you know how to get in touch with me, so please, just do it because we do need assistance. All right. So, are we there?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
We're there. Go ahead.
Okay,
Yep.
so sorry. Okay. So, yes, this is an example of, Haitians trying so hard to create their own food, right? Remember, Thomas Sankara said imperialism is look down at your plate and you'll see what imperialism is. You're not growing that food. It's coming into your community, so you have no self-reliance. And Haiti really understand that the United States destroyed our food sovereignty. 30 years ago, the Haitian farmers used to feed the country. The Clinton came along, got rid of tariffs and protection for the local market. And today, long grain rice, the U.S.'s largest market for rice is Haiti. Okay, so American farmers are dumping their rice, which costs less to us because they're subsidized by the U.S. government, and so destroying Haitian farmers. So the Haitian farmers, they humiliated in the Dominican Republic. There is a river massacre that runs along the border between the Dominican Republic and Haiti. And the United States actually keeps pushing us, but we were further into to the east, right, where the Dominican Republic is. But when they came in and occupied us for 19 years, from 1914 to 1934, they pushed our border. And right now, right at the river, and it's called River Massacre by the Haitians because in 1937, Trujillo killed more than 30,000 Haitians and just dumped them into that river. So it's called River Massacre, okay? But they have the nerve right now. There was a treaty in 1929 signed by the United States or created by the United States between Haiti and the Dominican Republic so that the Dominican Republic can actually use this river, all right? So on our side, where the river is in the north, the Haitian farmers, because a lot of Haitians have left the cities because of the gangs, right, that metastasized after this assassination, and they've gone back to their lacus, and they need water because there's a drought up there. So they started to create a canal to irrigate the Latibonite from Guadamet, right? The Dominican Republic is closing its border because it's saying, no, you can't build the canal. Haitians say, hell yeah, we can. It's on our land, this river. They have built 12 different canals, the Dominican Republic. The 1929 supposedly treaty just allowed for the Dominicans and Haiti to share this canal, but the part that's on our land. So that's what's happening right now. Without any help from this dictator, Ariel Henry, prime minister put in by the United States, the people decided with their own hands to build this canal so they can have this water. That's why Louis Abinader shut off the border. But, he actually, cut off his nose to spite his face because we're the one that's keeping the Dominican Republic alive. They are the ones selling us their foul food, right? Foul food to Haiti because they make you dependent by destroying your produce. So they don't want the Haitian farmers to produce. So he's saying that this water is his. And we're saying, no, even though we know this has always been ours, there's a 1929 treaty that says that we share this, and you've already had 12 canals on that river. We're supposed to have joint rights, and we're going to build this because we don't want to come to the Dominican Republic to work. We don't want to come to the Dominican Republic to get all of the various horrible things that you're doing to us. We're going to stay in our country. And so he closed it thinking that he was hurting the Haitians, and they all got together, and then, stopped all the visas, stopped all the, there's a lot of Haitian students going to school in the Dominican Republic, deported them all. There's cages of Haitian children being deported inside of Haiti. So the people, it's like, okay, fine, we are not going back over there. So now that he's trying to reopen it because he's lost so much money, the Haitians have closed their part, and that's what's going on.
Wow. All right, let's go back to the telephones, attorney. Let's talk to my good brother, Baba Maurice Nichols out of Chicago, Illinois.
Accusations of ethnic cleansing in the Dominican Republic.
Good morning, Counselor. God bless you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Same to you.
Cleansing in the Dominican
I think
Republic.
the time has come for Black people the world over to consider a campaign of total divestment from Western banking institutions, while simultaneously developing a world-class, state-of-the-art bank of our own. Your thoughts, my sister?
I am all for self-reliance.
Ashe, you got anything
Thank
else,
you very
Bob?
much.
Thank you, brother. All right.
Yes, bank black, take Africa back.
Ashe.
See you later.
Peace to you. All right, 443. Let's go to 443. 443, you're on with the attorney. All right, go ahead, 443. All right, you may have muted yourself right there. Attorney, talk about, in the remaining moments, you got the iridium deposits, which is a rare mineral over there, and you got the oil you talked about, and all the other resources that the West and others are after. Talk a little bit about that, if you can.
Okay. Since we don't have that much time, please, honestly, this is, I do all of this, and there's like 500 people going to my website. So make it 10,000 people. Make it 100,000 people, honestly. Go to the Èzili YouTube channel. I did interviews last Saturday with a group of Africans from Kenya who are, who don't want the Kenyan police to come to Haiti. They understand that the United States is using their country as the, new slave catchers to maintain Haitian exploitation.
All right, she cut off again. Let's bring Attorney Porter back on. Attorney Porter, come on back on. We'll get the attorney back on here momentarily. Sister Porter.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear, sister. Go ahead.
Wonderful. I had one more question about the General Barbecue that portrayed himself as the savior of the Black people in Haiti. And I wanted to ask Attorney Danto, she elaborate on that person because we have people in the same mode here in the United States, and could she draw the parallels to that what's going on with that person as well?
Now repeat it again. I got sister back on barbecue. You got a question about barbecue? Go ahead.
Sister Danto, I wanted to ask you: are you familiar with the General Barbecue down there, and could you draw the parallels of that type of person that portray themselves as the beacon of hope for the people to some of these sellouts that we have here in the United States?
Okay, so just to finish up on the last question, Brother Mohammed, we have iridium, which is the remains of an asteroid, and we have mountains of it. It's what they use to go to outer space because it's so heat resistant. So the second largest reserve of iridium is in Haiti. The largest one is in South Africa. all this information you guys can find on my website. I do things sometimes in English, and sometimes, of course, I have to do in Haitian, or Haitian Creole. But you will find, like I said, if you look for last Sunday, a very good interview that has all of this information. And there's tons of stuff there. Okay. With respect to barbecue, he's a criminal. He was put into his gangs. G9 was put together by a United States woman. Her name is Ellen Lalume. She was the UN mission head to Haiti. So once they, so that's what she did. Okay, but there is a couple of CIA agents like Dan Cohen and Redacted, these so-called progressive spaces, that are running around saying he's a revolutionary because they just want to confuse you. I can't tell you guys anything because you know I'm here. So white people trying to tell you who's a revolutionary in Desalin's land and you believe them, I don't know what to say. This guy is no revolutionary. He's a killer. His folks are rapists and murderers. He works for the right-wing PHTK, Michel Martelly. He was a former police officer, and I don't want to waste any more time, okay? The real heroes in Haiti are in the rural areas, and there are, yes, within the urban settings, there are Haitian men who are fighting these parasites, these social parasites and collaborators like barbecue.
All right, sister. Attorney Shay, look, God bless you. Thanks for coming out. Asante Sana to you 1,000 times. And look, and we'll send you the broadcast. The rebroadcast is going to be at 12 and 6, and we'll send you a copy. Tell our listeners where they can find you and join you.
All right. So please, okay, if you want to know any of this information in depth, I have recalibrated myself not to just write. So you can go to Twitter. You can just go down it's Èzili dumped off. You can go to, I've started on TikTok. You can also go to do small little videos. Some of them might be in Haitian, but definitely you will find enough information on the YouTube channel. Please, kindly, if any of the information I have told you matters to you, have your network go in, start bringing up the likes, the subscription, because we can be ignored, and they can bring in these Haitian voices that tell you what they want you, like Sheila McCormick, that tells you what they want her to say, because they are financing these Haitian elected officials to come in. Biden has a spokesperson that's supposedly Haitian, meeting their whole agendas, right? She checks up all the boxes. But she has nothing to do with us, with the grassroots or with our nation. And that's what's happening. It's happening in America too, So let's all get together and speak for ourselves. So if you want to support that Haitian voice, I've been here for 30 years and I don't even know where you all are. So ERZILIDANTO. And then we have the Free Haiti Movement on Facebook. Like I said, just come on the platform. Let's hit back and let's hit back together, because our problems in Baltimore and in Michigan and Haiti and in Niger, it's the same devil.
Sister, Asante Sana to you. Thank you very much, and we'll be in contact.
Honor and respect.
Respect. All right, we got to get out of here. Be brave. Rebroadcast 12 Central and 6. See you then. Peace to you. Be willing to fight for it.
A mission in Kenya
See what
that
you
would help us consolidate the bilateral relations, the trade and investment opportunities for our two countries.
Don't procrastinate.
Kenya helping to pacify Haiti.
Be brave.
Kenya helping to pacify Haiti.
Be brave.
accusations of ethnic cleansing in the Dominican Republic. Accusations of ethnic cleansing in the Dominican Republic.
You only reap what you've sown. Be for real. Show loved ones how you feel. Be brave. Show them how be brave. To be brave, and to be brave, and to be brave. Be brave. We're family. Help save humanity. Find your place. Make a wish. Don't give up. Persist. You can do this. Be brave. And to be brave, and to be brave, and to be brave. Be brave. Don't be afraid. Don't. Be brave. Don't. You gotta be brave. Oh yeah. Don't. And to be brave, and to be brave, and to be brave. And to be brave, and to be brave, and to be brave. Don't. And to be brave, and to be brave, and to be brave.
This government has failed us. The senators who are filibustering concerning your and my rights, that's the government. Don't say it's Southern senators, this is the government. We're coming to get our checks.
Pays for the separation of our family. Pays for the degradation